Hey, hi everyone. You ready for this, Susan?
Pretty much, although I'm a little under the weather. I will warn you all up front that my head is stuffy and
I'm stuffy too. I just also got back from the holidays with a cold, you know. So, hey everyone, welcome. I'm Sandy Rueve with Intention Beads, and Susan Gidel here is with me. Welcome, Susan.
hi, almost Happy New Year.
We are here together for 2 hours. We are the team of Chatting with the Stars. We'll talk more about that in a little bit, but we're going to wait for everyone to pop in here. We've got 2 hours going over 2025, the year ahead. It's not even a program, it's a revolutionary it's like an outlook, inward look. We're really looking at so many different landscapes here. We have so much to talk about that my 57 pages, we may not get to it.
You can count on the Pisces to have done that much.
Yeah, so we're going to try and spend this first hour on the 2025 big picture. And then we'll spend the second hour on January's, like we normally do. Susan and I get together on our Patreon account, our platform over there, once a month, at least once a month, where we give the month ahead outlook. But we are live here for, we should be on it, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, wherever all the platforms that we currently have. Because you know what, Susan? In probably the next, what, 5 to 10 years,
There could be more.
there will be more platforms, right? Because really Facebook and Instagram have kind of taken over, but it used to be like MySpace. I kind of remember that.
I never did that.
I didn't either, but I heard about it, right? And so, and we already know that TikTok is on the I don't know, the bandwagon or something. We'll see where that goes. So some of these social media platforms are in flux, as are so many things in the world. But we're going to wait until we get a little bit more people in here. Welcome. Where are you coming from? I know you may not be able to stay the whole time. If not, that's cool. We are giving prizes. I should pretty much tell Alex will be putting in, hey Mia, da 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 da. Um,
Yay, prizes.
we got prizes. We got prizes. We always do the spinning wheel. When you put your name in, everybody gets one free raffle ticket. The but you have to register. So you have to go, Alex will put the link in the chat box and you go there and you get it free. You just have to register. We have to know who you are and where to send your gift. Um, and if you want to purchase any additional, they're $1 a piece. And let's talk about some of the gifts we're going to offer. We actually, we usually don't do this, but we're going to do 3 readings. Susan and I get a 30-minute free reading. We got 3 of these going out to the winners today, which is, a 30-minute reading with Susan and I looking at your chart, answering questions for you, looking to maybe see how this is really connecting into your natal chart. This is what we're about to talk about is the whole world. But then we can look at our personal placements to see where um, the focus is for you and how you will be affected. So that's where you can get your tickets, register to get at least one, which is free. We're going to talk a little bit about Patreon. Susan and I started this, gosh, I don't know, 2 years. Alex actually started it. And Susan and I needed to follow like little ducklings and try and figure out how Patreon works. And we have a Patreon page. It's called Chatting with the Stars. And I want to go over a little bit in case you're interested of getting monthly cheat sheets, monthly year ahead. We do a month ahead, about a week or two about week to 10 days before the first of the month. And then we do webinars when it's appropriate with new things coming in. So when Alex puts that up, we'll go over it. Oh, she's right on it. Okay. So this is Sandy and Susan and I. I mean, we do need some new pictures here, but we've got four tiers, and this is the Little Dipper. It's $5 a month. You do get the cheat sheet. Susan and I put together a cheat sheet every month. We give you the dates, the aspects, what's going on in the sky, and then we put a little comment what I think is going to occur, what and Susan puts hers in and kind of gives you advice. And then an area where you can write your notes of what this was for you, because oftentimes we've got retrogrades that will return to its theme. Um, the $5 a month Little Dipper, you get it on the first of the month. You don't get it early. The Big Dipper, the $30 a month, gets it early as soon as we put it out. And then they get the webinars as well, and all the past webinars, and the monthly cheat sheet, and the live Q&As that we can do after each of our monthly updates. Then we have the two, Procyon, the little dog, Sirius, the big dog. These are literally readings with Susan and I, whether you get a quarterly reading, which is $120 a month, or the monthly reading for $240 a month, where we talk to you for an hour every month. And that's the high level. Plus, you get all those other things. So I don't want to spend too much more time. You can go to Chatting with the Stars. And of course, it's not just Susan and I are the stars. It's the stars above, the wandering stars, which are the planets. Um,
Did you know this, Sandy? Our Outlook, this is our 10th year.
no way.
Yeah. I
Well,
went when I was, doing the files, I was like, I have folders for each year.
yeah.
This is number 10.
And I was guessing 8 because I was thinking this was like a Venus return kind of VSP thing. So good,
Mhm.
10. Well, that's a long time. We look the same.
Yeah.
We look the same.
Well, and 10 years ago, we had to do it um, all in the same place. We were talking to Alex's camera on a little stand, and here we are on Zoom.
Right. In fact, we used to have in-person events when we
Yeah.
first started, right? Because we had to be together to do readings because we weren't doing them on
Yeah.
Zoom. So think about that, folks, right? Like what we used to do not too long ago, like we're just saying 10 years ago. Imagine what we'll be doing in 2, 3, 4 years from now. That's touchable, right? That's we have that's on our calendar already, right? Okay, so I'm going to stay kind of on this because it's interesting. Um, we're going to really talk about what I call the Three Stooges. We did the Three Stooges, if anybody knows, really, we've got these three planets. We've got Pluto is now permanently in Aquarius. We have the next one is Neptune. And Neptune is also moving into Aries, crossing the world point. Then we have Uranus moving into Gemini. So these are the three outer planets that we know of in our solar system in the last 100, 200, 300 years. So these are planets that we cannot see with the naked eye. We need a telescope to see these. And all three are moving into 0 degrees of new signs in the same year, at the same time.
Well,
Um,
and this year, though, 2025 is, remember how Pluto kind of tiptoed in and out of Aquarius for a little bit? It would go back into Capricorn, and now it's in Aquarius for good for another 20 years. That's what uh, Uranus, Neptune, and Saturn are all doing in 2025. They're kind of tiptoeing into new signs. They don't fully get there until 26. So I think this year is 25 is another here. We're going to get little snippets of flavors of what those permanent new sign changes are going to be like. in 2025. But really significant, I think, is that this doesn't happen very often when all the outer planets change signs this close together. This is the first time since we were born, Sandy. The last time this happened was in 1956. Um, and the time before that was 1942, 1914, 1851. It's only all the outer planets changing signs within a year. And I'm going to throw in Jupiter too. It changes signs once a year. But so Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, all changing signs within a year. This is only the fifth time it's happened since the country was founded. So it's a significant shift in energy um, that we'll begin to get a taste of in 25.
And then let's add Saturn.
Oh, did I not say Saturn? Sorry.
No, but like now we've got, and like you said, Jupiter always
Yeah.
changes. Jupiter only stays in a sign for 1 year, and it's moving in June, to June. It's kind of it's not January to January, it's June to June or something like that, July. Um, but that Saturn, because Jupiter always moves, but Saturn's moving this 2025 as well. And these are the two, the societal
Mhm.
planets. So these two are moving, plus the three outer. So literally the Three Stooges, and if anybody remembers that, I always watched it with my dad. The three-man comedy team that is known for their slapstick humor, right? That deliberately are clumsy, the clumsiness of them are meant to be funny, right? And the humorously embarrassing situations that they put themselves in. And so, did you watch the Three Stooges with your folks?
I was not allowed to watch The Three Stooges. It was considered too violent.
So I'm watching it for my dad because my dad's a funny guy, but here's that difference. I mean, we're looking at like here's these three planets that are moving together. We're going to show you a chart here in a minute, but they're moving together and they happen to be in a aspects that are going to work, even though the slapstick of them is they're all moving into different signs of, oh my God, I haven't been here in a while. Oh my gosh, what is this about? Right? Because every time a planet moves into a new sign, it takes on the role, the significance, the nature, the behaviors of what that sign represents.
Mhm.
So it's this planet. What the planet by itself has its own set of values, rules, regulations, right? And then it's been super comfortable in a sign where it's been Pluto, right? What, 16 years in the
Yeah,
form
in
sign?
Capricorn.
Neptune, four,
13,
13, huh?
13, 14.
13, 14 years in Pisces. Now he's not done, but he's moving out for a bit. And then Uranus out of Taurus for 7 years. So these
Mhm.
planets have really done their majority of their work in this previous signs. Now they're going into bumping into a whole new verbiage, whole new thought process, whole new thing. So we're going to go over that.
And significant that all the sign changes are moving into air and fire and out of earth and water. So earth and water is um, heavy. Um, it, it you put the two together and it's muddy. Well, now all these planets, and so the planets can be kind of in earth and water. Well, now they're all moving to air and fire, which is like fast and um, fired up, literally. Um, um, air air creates fire when you go. So, completely different kind of energy for these outer planets, from heavy, slow moving to quick and fast.
So dynamic shifts, profound changes, personal and societal, right? And the world scene, because this is happening around the world,
Mhm.
right?
Oh, yeah, this is for
Um,
everybody.
yeah, this is generational transformations. This is innovation, spiritual and social reorganization.
Mhm.
We do this sign. So, let's get into, I want to read something that came across my, I get my news every morning, and this was the main thing that showed up today. And I was like, perfect. Perfect. So, Geoffrey Hinton is one of the AI founders. He's one of the brilliant men that, in fact, he just got a Nobel Peace Prize for this year for that. And he wrote, "We need dramatic changes. Is societal collapse inevitable?" He says that humans will be like toddlers compared to the intelligence of highly powered AI systems. So he got a Nobel Peace Prize for his physics in the work of AI. And he's one of the godfathers of artificial intelligence. He has just recently shortened the odds of AI wiping out humanity over the next 3 decades. So, warning, the pace of change in the technology is, quote, much faster than expected. And it's almost like we are not down that heaviest or largest roller coaster ride yet. We're just getting on, right?
Yeah, and it goes back to, I've been talking about what I call the air economy for a couple of years now, ever since Jupiter and Saturn um, met up at zero Aquarius at the winter solstice in 2020. Um, Jupiter and Saturn are the two economic planets, and they'll be making conjunctions in air signs now for the next 199 years, starting in 2020. And um, once again, an enormous shift in energy between those two societal planets, moving from they'd been making conjunctions in earth signs since the mid 1800s. So things of earth, stuff you could touch, was valuable. And now in air, um, things of air will be valuable, ideas, um, intellectual property. So the ability to move quickly is once again valuable. And so I think it all fits together in terms of what's happening.
I want to continue this article because he previously had said that there was a 10% chance of technology triggering a catastrophic outcome for humanity. But now he's saying it's 10 to 20% in the next 3 years. So he said, yeah, it's going up. He said, if anything, you'll see we've never had to deal with things more intelligent than ourselves. He says, how many examples do you know of a more intelligent thing being controlled by a less intelligent thing? He said, there are very few examples. There's the mother baby. He said, evolution put a lot of work into allowing the baby to control the mother, right? And I know this to be true. I'm a mom, but that's about the only example this man can think of. So he has said that humans would be like toddlers compared to the intelligence of highly powered AI. So just kind of wanted to mention that showed up today for me to say, I'm sure, because we don't know. And so there we already are seeing some possible governmental regulation over that.
Mhm.
Does it need to be regulated? We got Saturn coming in there, right?
Mhm.
And you and I have talked about, we've been watching the news and we said something about these large mega corporations are building their own power sources because their AI systems need to run on their kind of independent power grids.
Mhm. And not only that, um, they're often nuclear power. Nuclear power fell out of seemed to be in the 70s, 60s and 70s kind of the answer, right? And then there were um, meltdown disasters that kind of put them out of favor. Well, now nuclear is back in favor because it's one of the few energy resources that can provide enough power, like you were describing, Sandy, about for these AI firms that apparently consume an enormous amount of energy to do what they do. And nuclear is one of the few sources that has the capability to provide that much power. And how appropriate with Pluto that rules nuclear moving into Aquarius for 20 years, um, that is the case.
It's the case. Let's just pop over to the chart that I want to show, because again, we've talked about it being, um, here's what I want to, here's kind of what I want to say. And I know we're looking at a chart, and I'll show you what I mean here, but these are the planets that are involved that all astrologers are talking about. We're talking about Pluto here as a course in Aquarius. Now you'll see that I'm up here calling this the Grand Minor Trine. I'm in July of 2025. This is the chart I chose to show you kind of as the middle of the year, how the planets are moving into area of the sky of new. So we got the 2 degrees. Of course, we start at 0. We've got Saturn, Neptune here at 1 and 2 Aries. And we have Uranus over here at 0 Gemini. So it's interesting too that you mentioned, air and fire, because what's air? Aquarius is the air, Gemini is the air, and these two planets in Aries is the fire. However, when if you're learning astrology or astrology, we do have, the fire, earth, air, water, right? We have these four, am I doing that right? Four um elements, but we have three modalities, right? We've got cardinal that starts things, fixed that continues them, and mutable that is adaptable. It's variable. And in this case, we have all three. So here is the cardinal moving forward, active, hero, victory, independent. I'm only thinking about myself. We got to go pedal to the metal. We've got the fixed of Aquarius going, okay, we're going to stay on this. We're going to stay right here, right here, right here. We're going to get things through, kind of get things through the tunnel. And then we've got Gemini, which is the mutable, which is about, when we can do this, we can go this. It's a variable. It's a play. So these, now we got 4 here. These 4 placements are doing that. Do we see this trine? Air just gives us more air. It's about thinking. It's about coming up with, and like Susan just said, piggybacking on the air economy. Then we see the sextile to both of these planets right here, right? The Saturn and the Neptune. And then we see Uranus making that sextile to this. So this is called a grand minor trine. And I know Barbara, our astrologer, is why we are together right now. I have something like this in my chart, of course, not these outer planets, but these can work well, right? But because they're just coming in at a 0, 1, 2 degrees, they're kind of new in the arena. They may not know the rules yet, right? They're all trying to do their own thing, but they're trying to work together. That's kind of where I wanted to show this. A trine is easy energy. Things just move like whoop. Barbara called it just slides into your lap
Yep.
without a whole lot of, work or pressure. And a sextile is half of that. It's a 66, it's a 60 degree. And so that can say there's an opportunity. She used to say you just have to get up off the couch and answer the front door. It probably you just lay on the couch and push a button, right? That was so 15 years ago when she talked about that.
And I've got a great quote from an astrologer about this connection um, from this book, Andre Barbeau, Planetary Cycles and Mundane Astrology. He was a French astrologer and wrote this in 2014, so 10 years ago. And he calls this connection the trine between Uranus and Neptune and sextiling Saturn or Pluto and Uranus. I can't talk. Sextiling Saturn and Neptune. Um, I'll just read it from the book here. He says, "This is the most benefic configuration of the century, and its interplanetary partnership will work for the best in a splendid relaunch of civilization," which implies that there's some sort of decline in civilization between now and then,
You
which,
know,
which
I've got
perhaps we are in the middle of. Um,
I've got some examples. I know you do too. Anyway, do you want to continue?
Yeah, it contains a harmonious relationship between primordial polar opposites, the coming together of the external and the internal, rational and spiritual, mind and soul, human beings surpassing themselves while experiencing life on a higher level. And, it's a lot to say that this is the most benefic, meaning helpful, positive set of aspects for the entire 21st century. And it's happening in 25 and 26.
It's what we're doing here.
Yeah.
It's what we're doing here. I want to real briefly because of this big configuration, I want to kind of just talk individually about the combination. So add in here. We've got the Uranus Pluto trine. This is about having high ideals, having high visions for the world. Knowing that as a society we can lean into justice. So we can bring a focus to injustice if we want these ideals to work for the world. Now we get no exact, but we get within minutes. Susan, we get within solar arc minutes before the retrogrades happen. It first comes together summer of 2026, and it's not done. We get 5 of these passes, and
Yeah.
it's not done until May of 2028. Now, we talk about this because they've both moved into new signs and are making an aspect. So we're going to get a preliminary, a pretext, a forward. We're going to get an eyeball look at this year, or 2025, this coming year, for what may take effect in 2028.
Well, 26 to 28 when they make,
26 to 28. But we're going to get a little preview now.
yeah. And my notes on Uranus trine Pluto is that you're able to make constructive change with ease because it's a trine. Consciousness expansion, which I think is good for using astrology to help in your daily life, which is what we try to do and apply. And then the idea that life must have meaning, Uranus trining Pluto. So I think that, implying that Uranus trining Pluto will help us figure out what's important, what's meaningful to us, and to do that from an inward outward kind of perspective.
I want to talk about the Neptune to Pluto sextile. This is about social change. This is about human rights. It's spirituality. It's the Neptune with the occult. These things, like you just said, astrology, they have power. So if you're interested in anything that is esoteric, this dive into it. It will be very useful for you and maybe your friends, and maybe this is a possible business. Again, there is no exact conjunction or exact degree and minute, but it comes within a degree. It comes in with 1 degree. So again, it is bountiful. We get the first of 13. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I got
Thir-
up to 9, and then I was just like, Susan, how many are there? Because I don't have time to keep looking through. I was shocked. And the first one doesn't come exact until July of 2026. But again, we're getting the apparent like notification. We're getting the memo. We're getting lots of memos in 2025. So keep them on your bulletin board because they're not just come and go. They're new rules and regulations that we are needing to follow. And it doesn't finish until February 32.
Yeah. And this is the first sextile, meaning 60 degrees apart
Mhm.
from when Pluto and Neptune were conjunct in 1891 to 1892. Now, we've had a couple of sextiles before, so this is the third set of them. The first was in 1950 to 56. The second one was in 76 to 86. And now we're having another one, 26 to 32. And um, so these two planets don't make an aspect to one another except extremely rarely. So, from the conjunction in 1891, this is only the first sextile, the first 60 degrees separation between them. Um,
And the
now we,
very first Ptolemaic aspect ever.
yeah, yeah. And this is about letting go of the old to start anew. Um, Large forces for social change are underway, and lifelong beliefs become invalid. The influence of Pluto being able to transform what you believe with Neptune. But once again, with the sextile, it's not like it's just going to happen. Um, we have to be on alert to take advantage of when those opportunities present themselves.
All right, let's keep going with these stooges. And let's go to the Uranus to the Neptune. Again, this is the sextile that we see. This is like working outside of normal limits, right? That Uranus wants to expand and move beyond what has been done before. So this is to create a compassionate change, but Neptune can also be diluted, right? It could be delirious. It could be, untruthful. So there is a bit of what can you see that you can trust? What can't you see that you trust or you like you're going to need your spidey senses. Again, this is something about using intuition. Again, moving into a spiritual side, moving into something that you're using your intuition, your meditation, right? So, I'm thinking spiritual retreats are just going to be
For
boom,
astrology,
out there.
yeah. And
Yeah,
the
I'm going to give the, hold on a second.
Go
I
ahead.
just want to we do come together for the first time in September of 2025. So they do make their first aspect exact, and they won't finish until 2028. All right, you go.
Um, yes, and same deal. This the Uranus Neptune sextile happens 5 times. And so there will be plenty of time over the course of a couple of years um, to figure out how to change in into this more spiritual, intuitive kind of world um, that the aspect asks us to consider. Um, less less orthodoxy, less rules by the book kind of thing, more creative, um, more inspired um, kind of situations will appear. And and same deal, the ability to attract like-minded to you.
Let's go to the Saturn making a sextile to Pluto, right? There is no exact. it's within 1 degree. We get one hit of this, one exact sextile, which is in March of 2026. So again, we're seeing that where this is what Jane Fonda would call an almost step, right? All of these are like almost, we're headed that way, but not fully. It's kind of that comment of, um, close but no cigar kind of thing. Some of these are not making the exact, but Saturn to Pluto is about having increased power to structure our lives, right? Giving us the opportunity to change our lives, which can change others' lives. And remember, it's really trying to use the power in the perfect amount of way. And wants to transform conservative structures.
Yeah, and the ability to have the persistence and dedication to actually pull that off. Saturn in Aries is okay, we're going to work hard at this for long-term benefit. So, um, you know, the some of the other aspects we've been talking about are, oh, well, it'll be all kumbaya and you kind of have to look for it. This Saturn Pluto is like, no, you really have to work.
Yeah, I mean, you're trying to break down structures, with using internal power versus external power of, so we'll see that a lot of this has to do with our leaders, world leaders around the world. Um, let's go to the Saturn
With
conjunct
Saturn Neptune at a world point, the zero Aries is a world point.
So Saturn and Neptune move across that world point, which two again and then these other aspects are making an aspect because here's the world point zero. Here's the world point zero right here. And so this is all fresh and new again. We talk about, us astrologers talk about the beginning of the year is not January 1st, right? The beginning of our year is the astrological year is the very first day of the spring equinox, which is zero Aries.
Yeah.
Right. It's when we start the zodiacal calendar. And so here, all of these are leaning in on the world point. And so this is, Saturn is the practicality. Saturn is meeting up with the creative Neptune, right? And it's in Aries. So it's like daring risks that take more time than being spontaneous. So Saturn is the slow, mature, moving into a quick birth period. So again, this could be the leaders having to really put on some new clothes.
Yeah. And um, also there's with Saturn conjunct Neptune, there could be confusion about what is real and what isn't. Um, Neptune, the imaginative, um, foggy illusionist, versus Saturn, the realist. Okay, those two things are at odds. What is real? What isn't? Um, and of course, Neptune with Saturn, you have to also be considered, you have to be concerned about another big health pandemic sort of thing. Um, with the um, Neptune fogginess running up against reality.
Yeah, I do think that, whenever Saturn and Neptune get together, even in our natal charts, if Saturn's making a connection to our personal natal or Neptune to our personal natal Saturn, we could have a health, something is exasperated, something is latent is now exposed, something that we couldn't see is now um, is in view, is now coming out. So this could have some health, maybe health and like look about the health insurance,
Yeah.
right? There's certainly been a focus on, what's fair in that category. And what these two do, they make no exact connection, Saturn's kind of following Neptune and then retrogrades. They make one connection in February of 2026. Again, we're leading up to it. Again, these are so close, it's almost you could light the cigar, but you don't get the full bit. Let's go to Saturn, Uranus. Um, they do make their first connection in April of 25 and finish by January of 2026. And this is bringing new ideas to old structures. It's like a new look on the old guy or the old gal. So, there is a upturn here. If we're looking again, I see this as possible leaders are having to kind of wear new clothes.
Yeah, and the ability to see something new and give it stability is a good thing. Now, from a stock market point of view, I think this is the waning sextile between Saturn and Uranus in their 45-year cycle. Waning meaning it's the last. The conjunction was in 88, and they're heading toward the next conjunction in 32. And so this is the final sextile they make before the next conjunction. And what I see in the stock market is that this is a time of potential decrease. I'm looking for a big low in the stock market while Saturn is sextile Uranus, April 25 through January of 26. In the exact dates, I think it's the most bearish in the January 26 chart. So I think from a stock market point of view, this sextile puts pressure on stocks throughout 25.
No comment about that. Um, all right, so this is where like we can go back off of this chart, but we can see that as these are forming and making helpful aspects, these are the big guys. They're just now sending their memos out to one another on how this is going to come into a fruition and it's going to take years, but we're getting the sense of it now. I want to talk about, I'm really digging Uranus. I went and did a bunch of, well, is now a good time to do the spinning wheel for some gifts, Alex? Before we get into, I've done some work around when Uranus was in Gemini the last time, or when Pluto was in Aquarius the last time, which I think is really good information. So we can do the spinny wheel, which yes, we can. She's ready. So let's give a last minute announcement. If you're watching and you have not registered, welcome. But if you want to get a chance to win one of these gifts, we won't go over them again. We'll tell you what to win, but the link is in the comments. Everybody gets one free. Get your name put in the spinny wheel one time. But if you want to buy more opportunities, they're $1. So you can add yourself throughout the day. Oh, you can add yourself throughout the day up until the last drawing. Yeah. And Susan, so Alex, you tell us when we're ready. Well, when we see the spinning wheel up on the screen, we'll know we can make an announcement. So, but I do want to, and I'm already looking at, we have about 16 minutes before the hour. And I do want to, like I said, I have 57 notes just about this first hour, 57 pages of notes. So like I itch my head going, how was I going to put that into I'm a Pisces. My Mercury's in Pisces. I just want to, but I never butt into myself, of course, I'm like this. So Alex, so we're going to do a chakra set. Okay, it's over there, but I don't want to go over there and get it. It's a chakra set we have two of them we're going to give out. It's worth $70. It's all the chakras from first up to the seventh chakra, and there's 7 bracelets in this package with instructions. So, And then you want to talk about yours, Susan?
Oh, and then a subscription to my market newsletter, Red Letter Trading Days for 3 months through Q1 of 25 with your email address. I sent it to you.
So I think we're going to do our first draws, but we'll draw in 2 minutes. Oh, she's doing it. All right. Well, let's go into, I don't know why we're going to pick two names. Okay. Um, let's go into, I went to Uranus when Uranus moved into Gemini in the past. And we know that, first of all, Uranus is the planet of innovation, revolution, and disruption. And the word, the disruption of it, because I love using the word awakener for the planet Uranus. It kind of wakes you up because you might miss something. So it's this like, what? Like, oh, you're going to miss the bus, kind of feeling. And it takes 84 years to go and make its complete orbit. So this is something we can all live around, right? Through an 84-year cycle. And of course, when it goes through Gemini, it now talks about the Gemini themes and theories, which is communication, technology, transportation, and intellectual exchange. So here
That
we
would
got,
go in commerce too.
say
The
that again.
ability to trade, Gemini.
Right. Yeah, commerce, the merchant services, the trade deals, the selling deals, contracts, things like that. Alex wants me to put my next thought on hold, and we're going to go to the some um, um, free prizes. As soon as she puts it up, we'll announce. We'll do the set of chakra bracelet first. And this ships out to you in the next few days. So I
I
love
love this
this.
wheel.
And the winner of the chakra set is Lori C. I think you're here right now. Lori C. You just won a chakra bracelet set. Okay. Susan, you
Then
you
we're going to
announce
run
the
it
next.
again for a newsletter for the first 3 months of 25.
Winner is
Elaine.
Elaine C. I know you. Okay, so we'll figure all that out after. Let's go back to um, the Uranus in Gemini. And man, I went back to the 1600s, 1690 to 98. That was the time when Uranus was in Gemini. And this was the period of the Age of Enlightenment, right? Which was this intellectual process, very heightened and rapid thinking. Um, it was the revolution in England, which had just established a constitutional monarchy. It was the colonial powers expanded trade and influence, and that's how they got the global connections back back and forth. Hey, Elaine's happy she won.
Yeah.
Yay, good. Um, it was the printing and literacy rates increased because of the spread of enlightenment. It was in 1775, which is interesting that the United States Sibley chart has Uranus in Gemini, right?
Yeah. And at 08 Gemini, which is significant, sadly, for representing when the United States has been in significant wars. The Revolutionary War in 1776, the Civil War in the 1860s, and World War II in the 1840s. Now, and then it hits 8 Gemini in 2027, I think. So is there a potential for the United States being in big war in another few years? Apparently, yes, but it doesn't have to play out like that.
No, I mean, it doesn't. Maybe it's, because we're now on the higher, but sometimes we don't have to
Yeah.
leave our houses and we're at war, right? So let's look at something like that, what could we be fighting about
Yeah.
that needs to be put new regulations on. And during that time, it was, philosophical and political views were being shared. It was the whole Thomas Paine period, the Civil War that you mentioned. The transatlantic telegraph cable was completed. Railroads became increasingly important, again, revolutionizing how people got across boundary lines. The Manhattan Project, which I'm very involved in, I'm very interested, I mean, not involved, but I'm very interested in, which is the development of nuclear weapons. That happened, right around because of World War II. And it stopped the war, right? It was the process of that Gemini's intellectual domain. Early computers were developed during this period. It was the founding of the United Nations, right? Communications about, you know, um, uh, policies and procedures around nations, communications. The Marshall Plan was an economic recovery program in Europe. So we really saw a lot of radio, film, things being played out that has Uranus and Gemini. So we've got some years as we approach that. And so what could we, what could this be? I came up with some things, quantum internet, AI driven interfaces, brain computer, right? Communication. How many times have you heard me say, I would just love to meet someone that just reads my mind? Because a Mercury in Pisces has a hard time explaining what I'm trying to think. It makes sense to me, but not through words. Um, it's um, it could hold this greater global collaboration, potential conflicts over information control, right? There could be the confusion. Innovations, flying vehicles, drone-based transportation. We all see that now. Travel, space travel. All see that, but that will now expand. That will really start to take off because we're already stuck our feet into it, right? So education, how are we going to educate our children, right? So interesting.
Hopefully in brand new ways. I'm all for that.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm just looking at some of these notes. Isaac Newton, these are key figures during this period when the last time Uranus was in Gemini. Isaac Newton. Um, there's a bunch of people here. Volator. But that's what I wanted to just talk about. Women's rights, the equality. So, lot of things are coming back up to make more of a impact and a change, not
mhm.
just talking about it and going away. Right? Um, I was looking at Saturn, Neptune, and I've got guys out here doing the grass. Can you hear that? If so, oh, no? Okay, then we'll go off. I thought that Saturn Neptune in 1989 was the fall of the Berlin Wall, right? There we go. A structure that dissolved, literally kind of
And
came down.
ideology that dissolved. Reality, the manifestation of an ideology falling.
Yeah, so, Pluto, when Pluto was in Aquarius in the 1400s, right? This was like groundbreaking changes on how information was shared with communities. That was the invention of the printing press, right? The Gutenberg, 1440 was the last time Pluto was in Aquarius. It's how the printing press disrupted traditional methods of knowledge and how it got through. So um, that
Well,
I think,
oh, Go ahead, finish, and then I have something to say about Pluto.
I'm going to go off audio.
We can't hear it, Sandy. It doesn't matter. So, but at any rate, what else is going on with Pluto this year that I think is really interesting is that Pluto is going to be out of bounds. Now, Pluto doesn't go out of bounds hardly ever. This is this, and out of bounds is when a planet gets beyond um, the declination of the sun's normal path from 23, 26 degrees in the south, where we just had at the winter solstice, to 23, 26 degrees north, which we get, or maybe it's the other way around, um, at the summer solstice. So the sun, this is the sun's bounds between 23 degrees, 26 minutes of declination. And when a planet goes beyond that, it's considered out of bounds. And when it's out of bounds, any planet that does it behaves in an extreme way, behaves unexpectedly, uncontrollably. I always think of it as a dog that gets out of the fenced yard and going, ooh, 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 ooh. Now what? Now what? What can I do? What can I do? And the last time Pluto was out of bounds, and I ran it from 1600 to 2100. The last time Pluto was out of bounds was from 1774 to 1795. And um, really interestingly, it was out of bounds for a full 13 years from May of 1776 to April 1 of 1789. And that 13-year period encompassed the Declaration of Independence in the United States, the Revolutionary War, the Constitutional Convention, and then putting the Constitution into place and having our first president take office during those 13 years period. It also was the period of the French Revolution. So, granted, that was 13 years straight. So, extreme, unexpected transformation of ideals and how community operates, things that are Aquarian. Well, we're getting that again over the next 10 years, anywhere from 2 to 5 months at a time, every year between now and 2035, where Pluto will be out of bounds. And this year it is August 28, 2025 through November 23, 2025. And so certainly not a 13-year chunk, but to have Pluto out of bounds, extremely rare, clearly. And so expect really wild things could happen. Things that are unexpected. And like you were going back in history, Sandy, about how things repeat, and things coming up in the news. I just saw something yesterday, but apparently it had been out for a little bit before that, about how there could be another constitutional convention, which wouldn't surprise me in the least, given that the first one we had was when Pluto was out of bounds in the 1700s, about 10 years after the Revolutionary Wars, and they finally decided, this 13 independent states trying to be independent, we need to come together and form a constitution so we know how to work together better. That could come up again. And apparently, this relies on 34 of our 50 states saying, yes, we need to have a constitutional convention. And it sounds like there's the potential that that already exists, and they should have called one in the late 70s and didn't. So, constitutional convention, re-examining the United States Constitution could be on the table. Certainly, I think when Pluto is out of bounds over the next 10 years.
And we have to think too that, we're talking about these mundane transits, but any baby that is born during this period has this in their natal chart. So,
Hmm.
give these babies, 20 years
Yeah.
and see really, I mean, we talk about when our life expiration date is, and I hope to be here in 20 years to see this. Like, what? I'm just going to sit from my front porch rocking chair and go like watching, like, yep, wow, wow, didn't expect that. Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, what? Yeah, good for you, good on you. Right? That so many things are changing, we won't recognize it.
Yeah.
I look at my mom, who's almost 93, and she's right with it. She just got the bird thing so she can watch the bird thing on her phone, and like it's just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how things have changed in her entire life, right? The 93 years she's. I want to talk a little bit about, I know we're at the 10 o'clock mark, but Alex, I'm going to keep going. It's my Pisces. Okay. um I went back to the last time Saturn and Neptune were in Aries together, which was in the 1520s. This was I found this interesting. Martin Luther and the Reformation, right? Saturn, Neptune, what we believe in, what you just said, the religion part of this, where, I was reading about the diet of the worms. I'm like, they ate worms for a diet, right? But worms was an area, it's a geographical area. Um, but when he was challenging the Catholic religion, again, somebody comes in to reform what people believe in. Um, and that other one was the Spanish conquest of the Aztec Empire. I don't know anything about that. I don't even know if I'm interested in that. But the other one that I am interested in is the Magellan circumnavigation. Ferdinand
Magellan.
Magellan, his expedition continued the daring journey around the globe. So it was Aries, fearless exploration, right? Of I don't know what's out there, but I'm going to keep going, right? So that was the very first time that someone was able to circle the globe in water.
And I have to say, my first impression of Saturn conjunct Neptune in Aries, the first thing that came to my mind, and this has been, years ago when I first started watching for it, was Holy Wars because it's in Aries. Aries is about being aggressive and to be able to want to fight for what you believe in. Um, and that's the downside of Saturn conjunct Neptune.
Yeah, it's kind of like somebody needs to be a hero, but that might mean they're, on the other side, right? Like there was a fight. So, so many things. And then, we haven't even talked about Jupiter going into Cancer. Jupiter will stay in Cancer for 1 year, and this will start in the summer, like right around June to the following June. And Jupiter in Cancer is exalted. So I really think there's going to be a really nice kind of comforting, nurturing way that has the ability to protect our country, protect our own interests, protect our family. So from the period of our own self to our homes, again, I believe that this is healthcare again, right? Like protecting who we are and how our bodies. So I think that that's going to be um, a big deal. I think the last time Jupiter was in Cancer, we got the whole healthcare system, Obamacare, came into play, um, where hey, everybody could literally afford to pay for health insurance. So I think there's something going to go around health and health insurance.
And remember the United States sun is in Cancer. And so when Jupiter goes through Cancer, it will hit the US sun, which is always a really lovely, helpful kind of aspect.
Yeah, and also in 1946 when it was there, the United Nations formed. I thought that was like the very, protecting our own nations, right? Like, this is what we want, this is what they want. How do we have the conversation? So anyway, I know that we're over our 1 hour and there was just so much to talk about. But I think what Susan and I will continue to do through our chatting with the stars, when we do our monthly um, look, that we'll talk more about this on, we'll be watching news articles, watching what's going on in the world, and then comparing it to the charts. So there's more to come. Again, if you're interested in at least following us with the lower $5 a month or the $30 a month, you actually get very good information. And the $30 a month, you get the webinars and you get the live, you get to ask questions. And making sure that I have your natal charts, and we do a little Q&A at the end of our talk for an hour, and we pick up a couple questions and get to your chart.
And let me add one more final thing about Neptune moving into Aries. It's one of the things that I've done some research on from a financial perspective, and um, it's inflationary. There's no doubt about it. When I first heard about Neptune and fire signs being inflationary, I was like, that makes no sense to me whatsoever. But then I actually went and looked at the charts and the data for the inflation rate, and I was looking in the United States, but it's hard not to have it be worldwide um, because it's Neptune. It affects Neptune, and a sign affects the entire world, not just this country. Um, and the last time, the two significant times in the 20th century that Neptune was in fire were in the 1920s and then again in the 1970s. And I'm particularly interested because there were commodities underlying that inflation that were the driving force of the inflation. Wheat in the 1920s and crude oil in the 1970s. And in both instances, inflation peaked when Neptune hit 9 degrees of the sign, and then again, then it backed off, and then it had another high at about 21 degrees of fire. And so it's one of the most sure things I'm expecting with some of these sign changes is that Neptune moving into Aries will bring inflation back with a vengeance. And my expectation is that we have the potential for double-digit inflation by the end of the decade. And right now it's at about 3%. And in summer of 22, when we were all worried about it, was 9%. Okay, well, in the 1970s, Sandy, you and I lived through that. Mortgages were at
Financing, yeah.
18%. I couldn't buy a house with a mortgage at 18%. Um, I think it's the 1970s revisited um, with Neptune moving into Aries. And the advantage that we have as old people is that
Speak
we've
for
lived
yourself.
through it. We've lived through it before. So we know that it can happen. But there's a lot of people that don't know that it can happen. So we want you to be prepared that yes, this is a possibility. And personally, I think it's a really strong possibility.
We didn't really discuss too much about the March, April period that's coming up, the spring period. Ooh, 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 ooh. So, what?
Yeah, I think the first part of the year is really difficult through the end of April with Mars retrograde. Then Venus goes retrograde. And
Mercury
then,
goes retrograde. The North Node crosses over. So all these planets that we're talking about, in fact, keep talking. I'm going to go, we're going to stay a little bit more on this March, April time period hits my sun because I'm a 29-degree Pisces sun. That literally I canceled all my my travel plans from March and April because I think I'm going to be called to do something else. So
well,
could
and
talk about it while I go look, get the chart.
well, I think most significantly is the final of three oppositions between Mars and Pluto on April 26th. And it surely has something to do with the new administration that's coming into office in January, because the first connection was on election day or within a couple of days. The second is on January 3, 2025, the day that the new Congress is sworn in and seated. And the third one is on April 26th. So when you have the first two Mars Pluto oppositions connected to the election and the new Congress, surely there's something US government wise that occurs near the end of April. And this is not a pleasant connection. Mars Pluto is, they are like nasty cousins who want to be mean, kind of. It's Mars. Mars is trying to pick a fight with Pluto. And honestly, I would pick Pluto to win that one. But
Kind of reminds me, just coming from Egypt, it kind of reminds me of those Cyrus and his brother Seth, right? Wanting power, wanting,
yeah,
and literally one cuts the other one up and throws them around the world in pieces, right?
yeah, yeah.
So,
It's about being aggressive about wanting power.
and we're going
Uh,
to talk more about that when we get to the January, because it is my conflict day of the month in January. But I want to show this because Susan, this is again what this whole period. Now I'm up here at the end of March, but it lasts longer than this. Um, Look at this area in the chart, and this stays here for a while. Look at all these planets in Pisces.
yeah.
We have Saturn. Well, the moon is there, and the moon will come around there every month. The North Node is going backwards, going into the Pisces Virgo. So that's we didn't even get to the eclipses. Really.
Yeah.
Everybody just sign up for the chatting with the stars because we've got way more to say about these eclipses. And they're not all super great eclipses this year.
Mhm.
Um, we see I think the only good thing here is Venus in Pisces, but she is retrograde. She can bring a little bit of grace and a little bit of calmness to this confusion. We got Neptune there, of course. Uh, Mercury is going to go back over that world point. He's retrograde. The sun will be there. Chiron's going through a United States Chiron return. So we are looking at the wounds of why we became an independent country. So there's really a lot of things going on in March and April, and it's all across this world point. So we're coming to January. We're going to come to March. We're going to get to or February. That's right. That's how it goes. Then we get March, April, and this is kind of I got a parentheses. So, like again, I always go to Bali and that time I took that when I saw this like a year ago, I took it off my plan because it's like I think I might need to be nearby, right? I don't want to
Yeah.
be too far away on the other side of the world while all this is sitting on my sun. Anyway, I know some of you here that have registered to be here have 28, 29. You might have moon there, you might have your north node there, you might have Chiron there. This is speaking to you. So really get with Susan and I, see what is either an early Aries or late Pisces or in opposition or square to this. This does not go away quickly. It stays for months. Anyway.
And I don't remember the day, but I remember in putting together my own outlook from a financial perspective that will be one of our giveaways later. That there's one day where seven planets are in water all simultaneously. I can't remember what day it was, but
Well, let's see. All in water.
it
Oh,
doesn't matter. It'd be
yeah.
too hard.
Well, anyway, here we just got blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's enough. Let's is it time for another draw, Alex? So really, a lot is going on this year, but don't we know it? Don't we feel it? I hope you had a great holiday. I hope you had a great time with your family. And I hope that continues.
Mhm.
So make that part of your individual summary for 2020. We're going to be here in a year. A lot will have happened in this year. So go in with an intention of being part of the change.
Mhm. And I think the other, we haven't touched on this, but speaking of Pluto being out of bounds, the moon also is at its extreme of being out of bounds this year. It's called the Major Lunar Standstill. I'd never heard of this until very recently. And check it out. There's several times during 2025 when the moon will be at its most out of bounds ever. And this occurs also on a nodal kind of cycle, 18 to 19 years kind of thing, where the moon gets to get this 28 degrees declination.
I might have seen 25 in my life.
Right. But 28 several times in 2025. And one of the first ones is January 11, 12. So once again, the moon behaving in an extreme way, emotions being activated to do extreme things when um, it is when they call it the lunar standstill, when it gets, and what it means is that it's at its most extreme declination.
Drum roll, please. Whether I'm piggybacking on you or ready for the next drawing. So our next drawing here is for a reading with Susan and I, 30 minutes. Well, you can bring your questions. Of course, we'll look at your chart. We'll set up a time for you to, for all three of us to get on. And the winner is, this is the reading with Susan and I. Sheila. Oh, Sheila B. Yay.
Issue.
Sheila, we're going to see you again. Yay. Okay, we'll get that information to you. Alex is good about that, you know. Um, let's give away your next thing, Susan. You want to talk about it?
Um, uh, Another subscription to my newsletter for the first 3 months of 2025.
Cynthia. Oh, Cynthia F. I know you. There you go. You get Susan's Red Letter Trading Days to build your money up. All right. So is now a good time to like move and go to January?
Maybe
One
one
more thing. Okay, go ahead.
one more big thing to kind of point out for the year as a whole is that there's a very limited time this year when all the planets will be moving direct at the same time.
Oh, 7 days.
Well, there's two periods. There's one February 24 when after Mars goes direct
Yep.
until March 1st, and then another one where is it? Oh, April 12 through May 4. So, I mean, in total, maybe 3 weeks of the entire year with all the planets moving direct, no retrogrades. And so, if you have big things to do, launch, to the ideal would be to look for a time during those two periods. And they're short this year. Sometimes they can go for 2, 3 months.
Mhm.
This year, not. You got a week in February and a couple weeks at the end of April. And then after that, the rest of the year, there's some planet retrograde all the time.
All right,
So
ready to go through this?
for January,
It's not, it's not all of it, but let's go through January. Okay, so we're pausing again to get really, Alex, put Patreon back. You don't have to put it up on the screen, but just the link because you know, this is the time if you're looking for esoteric belief systems that you can't understand or touch, this is the time to get into it. This is the year to get into it. Okay. Otherwise, Susan, we ready to go to January?
Yep.
Seriously, probably in a aspect type count, the busiest month of the year, right? It took up one whole page of my graph paper, and all the other months just took up a portion of it.
So we better get rolling because I know you've got a hard stop at 11.
Yeah. So let's go on. I heard you say that, but it didn't mean anything to me. It's
Mercury and Pisces, you.
what? Okay, I heard you. All right, let's start with January 2nd. January 2nd. And by the way, our cheat sheet's out already. So if you do come in as a $5, you won't get the cheat sheet till the first. But if you come in as a 30, you'll get it as soon as we finish it, which is about 10 to 7 to 10 days before the month so that you can plan ahead. And we give our favorite days. We'll give our conflict day. I give conflict days and I give astro interesting days. All right, let's go. Thursday the 2nd. Oh, Venus moves into Pisces. Be one with the universe. Listen, she enters her exaltation where she is honored and put on a pedestal. She's going to be in and out of Pisces until April 30th because she's going to retrograde here. So, oh my gosh, she's going to be super high in the evening sky. She's going to reach her maximum elongation. So, hey, January 1st through April 30th, she usually spends 3 weeks in a sign.
Yeah.
So she's going to go into Aries, which is a detriment. Then she's going to come back in Pisces, which is her exaltation. Then she's going to go back into her detriment. So really on the 2nd, that's when I'm taking off for my retreat because it's about being, near water, being calm, being meditative, really finding friendships that are ease.
Mhm. And it's a nice way to kick off the financial year to have Venus moving into the sign where it is exalted. Now it happens after the close on Thursday at um, in the as the trading starts for Friday the 3rd. But still, the new year basically kicks off with Venus being in a helpful sign.
Then boom, we go into Friday the 3rd. It's my conflict day of the month. That's that Mars retrograde making an opposition to the Pluto. And this is the second one, and I call this whatever Batman says, pow, bam, boom, bop, right? That kind of cartoon thing. This is not an easy duo, and it's not an easy aspect. They're literally on opposite sides of the rainbow, except it's not a rainbow. Rainbow does that, right? This is like of opposite sides of a conflict, possibly. So be careful and aware. But again, you mentioned already, kind of remember that November 3rd period, that election day era time period. Did you feel powerful or powerless? I think we can we will have a tangible like, yeah, that I feel that. Like I feel my heart pump a little faster or not at all. Um, there's one more expression of this to come, and you mentioned it, April 27th. Is something resolved? Has something come up to the opposition? Because oppositions are like, come to the middle. Let's discuss the middle, the middle portion.
Well, that's the ideal way that it works, right? Is that there's compromise, but this is Mars and Pluto. Um, this is about, yeah, who wins? It's not about compromising, it's who wins. And I think significant on January 3rd is that it's the day that the new Congress is sworn in and seated at 12 noon. With this, you know, and if you would run a chart for that, then this aspect would be embedded into the chart of the new Congress, that there will be constant conflict.
True. It's kind of like their birth chart, right? The election chart or birth chart. And nobody, as an electional astrologer, I would never pick this day to do anything.
No, no.
But we can understand that, from our perspective, our point of view, of how the election day went.
Mhm.
You're either powerful or powerless, but come on, let's get to the center of that. All right, Saturday the 4th, we've got Sun making a sextile to Saturn. highly successful. Hey, this is creative. Put this feeling down on paper. It is worth something. I like this day.
It's my solar return.
Oh, you get it. You get super
Very,
early.
very, very late at night.
Yeah. It's super, super early as far as days concerned.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. So anyway, yes, the opportunity to actually do something great.
Yeah. And this is the first day of our retreat. Still have one spot left, everybody. But anyway, Monday the 6th, this is when Mars retrogrades back into the sign of Cancer. And this is in taking on a feeling. What was recently felt is not done. What you had between that September 5th and November 5th, that was right, all the lead up to the election and all the rhetoric that was going on. Now he returns to stir up some more things now within you. So choose wisely. You know, this is the fire, the heat, and the passion may need a rekindling because it's going back into Cancer, water sign.
Well, and Mars's sign of its fall, which
Yep.
is its worst sign. It feels homeless here. It doesn't know how to move forward. It doesn't know how to be aggressive. It is at a loss in terms of how to make things happen when it's in Cancer. Um, so, kind of a Debbie Downer shift in energy.
Hmm. And then the same day, Mercury is making a square to Neptune. It's the first, I always look at this. Do you look at these? I look at this for natal charts. This is Mercury's first aspect he makes after he's come out of his retrograde. I always look to see, like, after he's gone backwards and done some things back there, right? And he's coming forward, and then he makes the first aspect after he's out of shadow. So it's a square to Neptune. So it's going to give us hints on what that retrograde was about, possibly. What thoughts or opinions need reframing. Believe in your new revised beliefs.
Yeah, but it could be difficult to spit it out. It's a square. And even though you might have really high ideals that you want to express, it's hard to do that because of the square.
Harder than normal for me.
Yes. Well, maybe not for you because it's Neptune in Pisces.
This is my life.
Yeah.
So everybody, on this day, on Monday the 6th, now you understand how my thinking goes. Good luck.
Yeah.
But very intuitive, right? Like
Yeah.
believing in the optimistic hope and trust of some we can do this. We can do this. Wednesday the 8th, Mercury, boom, moves into Capricorn. And he moves out of his detriment because he moves out of Sagittarius, where he's been retrograde in that area. And he moves into Capricorn. Now he's able to make down to earth decisions. He's more productive because the ruler of Capricorn is direct, Saturn. I like this.
Yeah, it's nice. You know, really, the say what you mean what you say kind of aspect, I think, or flavor of Mercury in Capricorn. And interesting too that the nodes are at 0 Aries at this point, and so that aspect squares the nodes at the world points.
Just
Um,
saying, if you had your cheat sheet right now, you'd be writing more things in here. Just saying. Sunday the 12th. This is Mars retrograde, is now making the second of three trines to Neptune. And I wrote, can you remember? This was October 28th, October 29th. What was that creative, inspired person, place, or thing? Go back to that. It's a trine.
Mhm.
Repeat. I was in Tuscany staying at the castle.
Cool.
So I may throw this out that I'm doing my my October retreat there for this year. So go back to that and repeat. What is interesting is the next time and final time they make this trine aspect to one another, it's which is April 19th. Neptune will be at 0 Aries. He will be moving across the world compass. So this is really important right here on the 12th. to really connect with something that you are inspired around, something you want to learn, something you want to teach, something somebody that you want to be around, somebody you don't want to be around.
And, and it's easy to do it despite because it's the trine, not necessarily because Mars is strong here. It's not. We just talked about how it's in its fall. But, Neptune being in its rulership in Pisces, to be able to do the spiritual, high-minded, intuitive sorts of things will be a little easier then. Um, and the day
So,
before, the North Node entered Pisces. So it's got strength there too. It has left the Aries Libra axis and has moved into Pisces Virgo on January 11.
where the North Node, remember the North Node people, the headset that goes over the head, that has the forward motion where we're headed in life. And it's moving into Pisces. Now it's going to hit 29 Pisces, which is me, which is I do think that whatever this is fated, something's coming in fated, and it's going to be in Pisces for 18 months. So anybody that has any planets in Pisces, they may be headed in a new fated direction in the next 18 months.
Mhm.
So let's take a look, right? You kind of don't want to miss your fated boat. And
Yeah.
usually fated you don't. You'd really have to really be like, "Nyeh, no, to not get on that fated train, right?
It just picks you up. You don't have to buy a ticket or look for it coming. It just arrives, right?
Yeah, Monday the 13th, the sun is making a trine to Uranus. So, Uranus is retrograde here. When the sun makes a trine, it's kind of our Carol Burnett, blah blah. It's our note of Uranus is about ready to come out of his retrograde. But it's a pop of luck. It's a surprise energy. I like this transit. I like all the
Yes.
sun trines.
Yeah, Sun trine Uranus is always fun for um, really putting it on the calendar and say, okay, let's try something new. Let's do something new. Um, and it should work out okay.
And it's a Monday. How beautiful. All right, then we've got the sun is making this is the first this is the first lunation that we're going to have this year. So this is a full moon, and it's at 24 degrees of Cancer. It's at 4:27 p.m. that we're talking about Central Time, 4:27 p.m. of 24 Cancer, which is sitting with Procyon, right? That's the little dog, right? So this is a transition star. So it's taken advantage of an offer before it disappears. Procyon is one of our chatting with the stars
Yeah,
uh, uh,
Patreon.
Patreon tiers because it's about, taking advantage. Like it's like, oh, this is a good idea. Oh, that's that because it's the little dog. But it's also, and that's at 25 degrees of Cancer. But Pollux it sits at 23. So this moon sits at 24. We got 25 Procyon and 23 Pollux, because I love fixed stars. And the Pollux, and I have this in my chart actually, it's the darker minded twin, usually experiencing hardship to understand uh, one's success, right? Looking at the dark in order to see the light, right? Castor is the other side, which says light to dark. Pollux is dark to light. So I do call this get out and see this full moon. Difficult but saved at the bell. It's spicy yet soothing. It's kind of like your first taste of this is like, oh, way too spicy, but then it calms down when you take the second because we've got the moon making a conjunction with Mars and the sun making a conjunction with Pluto. Again, there's the lunation with that opposition of Mars Pluto.
Shedding light on things of Cancer, of home, family, cooperation, pleasantness, helpfulness, nurturing. So
But,
fingers
looking at
crossed
that,
that's where that power struggle gets focused.
But when I did the chart, there's some angles of potential here. So again, see the differences. It's difficult, but the potential, the angles of potential say kind of saved at the last minute.
Yeah.
That's what I got. Anyway, Tuesday the 14th, we have Venus making a square to Jupiter. Um, now, this is keep your faith, baby. Keep your faith and your belief. These are good people can gain through differences. Hey, it's a square, but it's the benefics. And Venus, is also in Jupiter's um, sign.
Yeah. So a good day to do good things, and to expect good things to come, even though it's a square. Like you say, you know, Jupiter, the squares are are um, considered a hard angle, but not because things are hard. It's because you have to actually do something to take advantage of them. And what better than to have Venus square Jupiter to do something good?
Can I give an example?
Yeah, go ahead.
Um, this just happened, but it's kind of like that. It's like, hey, who wants to go for a walk? And I'm like, that's the last thing I feel like doing. I don't want to get my coat on and boots and go for a walk down. And then my daughter says, well, I'm going, Mom. Do you want to go? And I'm like, yes. So it's kind of like that. No, I don't really feel like taking a walk, but the benefit of I'm going to walk with my daughter. Yeah, I'm going to go.
Mhm.
Right. So it's kind of like but I'll benefit. And I did. Wednesday, the 15th, we've got the sun making that opposition to that Mars that Mars retrograde. So now we got the opposition of the sun, as we saw that was happening during the full moon. So this is Mars is really close to the Earth right now. We will be able to watch your way while keeping your eyes on others. Don't step on people's toes. This is when Mars is the closest to the Earth. We will be able to see him. Sun goes down, he's coming up. He's the red planet. You'll be able to see him.
Well, if you don't look where I do, where houses and trees are in the way of.
Well, wait till it gets even darker. He'll be up, higher.
So, but yeah, Sun opposite Mars, the ability to take some action, and find that compromise. Okay, this is what I think is the right thing to do. Sun in Capricorn, and um, actually, it's got a little more power over this um, weak Mars. It's both retrograde and in its fall. So you probably can, what you want to do probably wins.
And the Capricorn is Mars's
Yeah, exalted.
exaltation. So
Yeah.
Friday the 17th, the sun is making a sextile to Neptune. This is where's your art? Where's your words of inspiration? Use them purposefully. You or someone dear needs to hear some sort of uplifting comment.
Mhm. Very creative, very intuitive. Um, take advantage of that for sure.
And actually, it's really cool because that's when the Celebrate Your Life, they're doing a Scottsdale event for 3 days and I talk about the Celebrate Your Life events all the time. It's a um, Greg Braden's going to be there. There's just a lot of people that I'm going to be also vending there. And that's that weekend. So again, words of inspiration is exactly what everybody's going to be getting. All right, then we got Saturday, the 18th. This is my favorite day.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's interesting why I chose it because Venus is going to conjunct Saturn. She's going to conjunct Saturn 3 times. Now, Saturn's in Pisces, been in Pisces for a year and a half. But when Venus comes to Pisces and stays for a long time, because she's retrograding there, she will bring she's in her exaltation, so she's going to bring grace and ease and beauty and soothing and meditation. So I really feel like she's giving him, Saturn, a little grace and loyalty,
Excuse
right?
me.
I think this is a great day for marriage. If it's not the 18th when Saturn is, we're going to get this three more times. I think the April 24th is the good marriage day because that's the final pass of these two planets.
And is in that period when everything's direct. Yes.
Right
Yeah.
there, the 23rd. Yep.
So for me, Venus money conjunct Saturn planning long term is a good day to make long term financial plans. So work on your taxes, figure out what you need to do on Saturday the 18th. Sorry.
Yeah. No, no, no. But it's kind of like making an agreement
Mhm.
for long term, and
Yeah.
it's Venus, whether it's love or finances, right? But again, she'll come back again two more times with him,
Mhm.
right? So you'll get to review the finances. You'll get to this is kind of when you're working through the all the details of a
Yeah.
wedding that you're going to
And
have on April 24th.
but to come up with new long-term investing plans in mid-January.
All right, Sunday the 19th, we've got three aspects going on, three things going on. Mercury, the planet of communication, is sextiling Saturn. So it's time to learn. This is Mercury is now under the beams of the sun. So there is this hidden aspect of taking time to understand the meaning of a thing, the meaning of a subject. Like you could go in somewhere where maybe no one is knowing you're learning anything, and you come out right after the under the beams and the combustion and all that, and you're like, boom, look what I've learned. I'm smarter now.
Mhm. Well, and
So
I see them two together really. Um, Mercury in Capricorn is sextile both Saturn and Venus on Sunday the 19th
yeah.
because Venus was conjunct Saturn the day before.
Mhm.
So Mercury is sextile both planets um, on Sunday and within, a few hours of one another. So once again, when I'm talking about looking for new long-term investments with Mercury sextiling both those planets, you could actually write them down and commit to them really easily, I think, that whole weekend.
Yeah, learn to write poetry or music, something that's in flow and has a rhythm, has like a syncopated feeling, kind of something that you're doing, monthly, weekly, paycheck wise, for what you're to piggyback on you. But we're talking about Mercury and Venus. These are the two planets that go around the sun, right? And they do all kinds of things around the sun as they're moving. And they're in a sextile, so they're 60 degrees apart. This is their last aspect before they come together in Pisces and Aries, and then retrograde together. So I think this is a super important day to plan something that is needs a little bit of more information. Needs again, that's why I say learn, be in the learning because they're going to move together through this period.
Mhm.
And then they're going to go off on their ways. Because we have to think that Mercury and Venus, they can only, the furthest away they can be from each other is a sextile.
Yeah.
So they're the furthest away they are in a harmonic aspect.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, let's move some pages. Let's move our cheat sheet. I hope you have it.
Also,
Alex, should we, what?
well, also on Sunday, January 19 is when the sun moves into Aquarius.
Oh, I missed that. Yep.
Yeah. So it leaves Capricorn, and moves into Aquarius, um, where it's not necessarily no, is Aquarius where it's exalted?
No, no, it's exalted in Aries. The
Oh,
sun is,
exalted in Aries, sorry.
yeah. So it's in detriment here.
Detriment, because it's opposite of its rulership. So the sun moves into its detriment in Aquarius. So the sun is weak.
Yeah.
But with Pluto in Aquarius, um, and what we talked about earlier about all the outer planets moving into air and fire, I think, the sun moving into Aquarius takes on more significance now.
Yeah.
Um, and can be stronger in terms of being able to focus on and celebrate uniqueness, weirdness, um, ideas, individuality, the things that Aquarius is known for.
I think this is a setup of a 30-day period, right? The sun moves into a new sign every 30-ish days, because there's 30 degrees in each sign. So this sets up that every year the sun moves into Aquarius, opposing the Leo portion of anybody's chart. And Leo, oh, did I freeze?
You
Oh
did, but
no, oh no, what does that mean? Can you hear me?
yeah, we can hear you though.
Okay, well, I'm just going to keep going.
Yeah,
I'm gonna maybe hold that pot pose when I move.
yeah.
But this opposition of the Leos are the royalty, the king, the important, the leader, the person in charge of making decisions, and it's an opposition. So it's about, oh my gosh, I've got things to do, I've got people to take care of, I've got a that's why there's going to be this opposition. Going
Mm.
very, and again, this is right at the inauguration period.
Yeah. And then Tuesday, the 21st, the inauguration is on January 20th. Tuesday, the 21st is when the sun conjuncts Pluto in Aquarius, early in the morning. And so, once again, really powerful ideas about transforming Pluto, um, new ideas, technology is really strong right around the time of the inauguration. Um, so,
I know you scratch your head like that. Can you hear me at least?
yeah, I can hear you.
So Tuesday the 21st is that Sun conjunct Pluto,
Yeah.
which, is, we're going to get, of course, it is at 1 degree. This is called the meetup. I call this is the grand conjunction at this placement. So leaders are powerful. They're working together, question mark. Let's hope so, because we have a new leader. Are people working with him, or is he more powerful than the rest of us?
And this is an example of what's going to happen a lot in 2025 with the outer planets, like we talked about way earlier, being at 0 degrees of new signs. When the Sun, Mercury, Venus in particular move into new signs this year, there's a lot of connection with those outer planets as it does that. Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto in particular. So whenever this year in particular, pay attention to when Sun, Mercury, Venus change signs because they'll be likely making aspects to the outer planets also in new signs. There's a big long list of aspects that happen because of that.
Yeah. Can you hear me still?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Because now I've got an hourglass, which I wish was my figure. But anyway. Thursday, the 23rd, Mars retrograde, making a sextile to Uranus retrograde. What did you think you could do? Like what? Like really? Recall, this is the second of three passes. Recall October 25th. Are there any hints? Could still be worthwhile. It's like keep alive your sourdough bread, right? Like your sourdough yeast.
Mhm.
It's like, what did you think you thought you could do? Right? Are you still
Yeah,
doing it, or are you still in the perplexion of, man, I thought I could do it and I can't? Keep trying. It's still worth it.
yeah, and Mars sextiling Uranus can also be about like we talked about the Sun Uranus connection. Mars Uranus is kind of the same. Try something new, do something new. Just try it.
Yeah. It's your favorite day.
Oh, it is my favorite day because there's a mystic rectangle. Uh,
Oh,
the Moon, Mercury, Uranus, and Mars are making two sextiles, two trines that day. And so each planet is particularly emphasized. And then Mars is out of bounds. Actually, Mars is out of bounds for it starts on New Year's Eve next week, and Mars remains out of bounds into early April. So anything Mars related will be this out of bounds thing that we talked about, where it's uncontrollable, exaggerated, extreme.
Well, and that same day, the 23rd, we've got three aspects, and that Mercury is making an opposition to the Mars, out of bounds Mars retrograde. So it's kind of like, is Mars getting a message or given a new direction? It could be either, it's an opposition. So it's Mercury's trying to be informative, and Mars is being demanding.
Yeah, but once again, the Mercury aspect is, oh, now we lost Sandy's video. Mercury is opposite Mars and trining Uranus. So once again, that's part of this mystic rectangle where it's important that all of the planets are talking to one another in that. So Mercury opposite Mars, um, doing uh, news news that needs to be put out there. Mercury trining Uranus, I like a lot. It's about the ability to speak and communicate about new and different things. And as an astrologer, it's a nice day to talk about astrology um, and to focus on new and different ideas. And we'll see where Sandy is. Oh, um, Saturday, January 25th. Venus is in Pisces, where it's exalted, and trining Mars in Cancer in its fall. This is the first of three connections between that. Venus can also be and Mars, female, male, but working well together in a trine. And, I always look at it from a financial perspective. Venus is money. And certainly it's the stronger planet because it's in its sign of exaltation. With Mars in its fall. Once again, the ability to take good financial action, I think, is great on January 25, but it's the first of three, so you might have good ideas about that that you can revisit and then sign off on after Venus gets through its retrograde period. Sunday, the 26th. This is another one of those examples of, Mercury and Venus as they're getting ready to move into new signs or newly are aspecting the outer planets. Mercury in late Capricorn is sextiling Neptune in Pisces. So another great day for the ability to do tap into your intuition, write beautiful things, um, poetry, something otherworldly to communicate that somehow. And then Venus sextiling Uranus, I always like as the potential for surprising money things to happen. And they could be particularly good money things, I think, on Sunday, the 26th, because Venus is in Pisces, where it is exalted, and it's sextiling Uranus, which is in Taurus, which is also ruled by Venus. So there's a lot of good Venus juju going on Sunday, the 26th, that, you know, financial surprises could be of the good variety. Um, and then, oh, Sandy's getting back on. Alex says we could do a drawing. That would be a good idea. We could do that. Um, you want to do it now? Okay. So the first thing we're going to draw for is another 30-minute reading with the two of us. Me and Sandy will look at your chart, do whatever, ask, answer questions, your burning questions. And that winner is Lori C again. Hoorah! So, Lori will, I'm sure Alex will get together with you and we'll pick a time that works for everybody to get that rolling. And then do we have another one to do, Alex? Oh, another one of my newsletters. First quarter of 2025. Shelley, Shelley, good for you. Nice to see you here. You've been a lucky winner in the past, I believe. So it looks like Sandy is back. We
You
can't
know I did. You know I did a Alex.
we can't even blame Mercury retrograde, Sandy.
Okay.
So I'm at Monday, January 27th.
Did you guys did you get some winning things out?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you want to talk about the 25th and 26th.
Yeah, 25th. That Venus and Mars making oh good, Lori, C1. That Venus and Mars is trining. She's now helping. This is what she's in the feminine energy. What about now? Seems like she's prominent and supporting both malefics this month. You know, she's making a conjunction with Saturn, and then she's making a trine with Mars. So this period, she's really uplifting the two malefics. The 26th, Gentle Sunday, express your love. Just to catch up. The 27th. So we're coming down to the wire. Hang in there, folks. We're almost done with our 2 hours. Monday, the 27th, Mercury moves into Aquarius. This is the higher octave, thinking through to the finish line, thinking through to the wire, the fixed air. Horses need to break the wire strung across the end line. I did some research on that. So
I love Mercury moving into Aquarius. I have Mercury in Aquarius natally.
so does Alex. Yeah.
It's exalted there. So I think it's great for communicating new different ideas and particularly astrology because Aquarius is a sign that rules astrology. So I love it when Mercury moves into Aquarius.
Wednesday, the 29th, this is my astro interesting day because Mercury is making a conjunction to Pluto, right? So that higher octane of that Mercury. And so it's about researching it, finding a power source, finding the power source of some sort of informative power, or getting to the bottom of things. I'll just go right through and then you go right through. And then we got the new moon. This is the first new moon of the year. So we know that this is the celebration of the Chinese New Year, and it's the snake, it's the wood snake. This is about wisdom, charm, elegance, and transformation, intuitive, strategic, and intellectual. And this new moon at 9 degrees of Aquarius at 6:36 a.m. is making a trine to Jupiter. So this is a great opportunity to set in a wise and intelligent intention. Yes, you are. What do you take?
Yeah, and I think it's a great day for communicating new powerful ideas. Not only because of Mercury, Pluto, but because the new moon also is in Aquarius. Like you said, trine Jupiter. It's a really great day. And for me, this is the day that the Federal Reserve announces the results of its meeting on what it does with interest rates on that day. So given the transits of the day, Mercury conjunct Pluto and the new moon in Aquarius trine Jupiter, whatever they say could be taken very favorably, I think, and potentially in a new direction, but seen favorably.
Yeah. And then we end our month with Thursday the 30th. Two things are happening this day. We got Uranus is stationing direct. He's been retrograde for 4 or so months. He's stationing direct at 23 Taurus. And any birthdays, hey, happy birthday to any of you. Well, on May 14th, I should say not happy birthday because it's not your birthday yet. But this is where Uranus is stationing on your sun. Anybody's birthday is May 14th. So what's new, pussycat? Woo, woo, woo. Because Uranus has changed things about your identity. So kind of get jiggy with it. What is new? Be new again. Be new again.
Yeah, and so change gets when Uranus moves direct in Taurus, change starts to happen again. It's not reviewing anymore. It's not sitting back on vacation. It's back on the job. It's ready to make change. And once again, related to this Fed meeting the day before, maybe there is new change coming in the financial world because Uranus is in Taurus, which is ruled by Venus. And then later in the day, the sun trines Jupiter. Once again, a lovely, lovely transit for good things to happen and happen easily.
Yeah. And this is again the signal, the Carol Burnett rubbing your ear. Situations are about to turn around,
Mhm.
right? Because Jupiter is in about 2 weeks to start moving forward. And right, let's just be honest, Jupiter doesn't like being in Gemini. It's his detriment.
Mhm.
So he just has to try harder. There's just too many things for him to manage in Gemini, and he just likes to shoot the arrow straight to the bullseye, right? Instead of having all these arrows, he's got to shoot. All these things he's got to shoot. All these things he just
The
wants to
details. Can't do
one,
it. Yeah.
and he's just like constantly with his quiver, right? Too many
Mhm.
things to do, and he can't always be on point with them all.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that's how we end. Boom, a little late. Let's go. We have more little gifties. Our final group, is that true? Yes, Alex, that's true. Okay. I think we have another reading and another set of chakra bracelets. I forget.
And then my 2025 Outlook report.
Yeah. So we have 3 things to give away. Yeah. Okay. So let's get the roundy round thing. We actually played that for Christmas. I did a stealing Santa with the roundy round thing, Susan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, Alex gets the roundy round thing up. We had 2 computers going. One that said what you had to do, pass your gift to the left or open it. And then the other computer said all the peoples that were sitting there in the room, right? Um, then so you got the action, and then the second computer said the person that had to do it. It was hilarious. Okay. Um, okay. The 30-minute reading, we're going.
Shelley, when we pulled Shelley gets the 2025 Outlook.
Okay, so Shelly gets that. That'll get emailed to you. And then we've got the 30-minute reading coming up, and we'll see. Alex will tell me what else there is. So this is for the 30-minute reading with Susan and I, and we'll set that up sometime in January or whenever it works for you. Oh, Amy M. Yay. We get to see Amy again. Yay. Congratulations, Amy. I'm looking forward to talking to you again. Um, and Alex is there. We'll get information to you and you can set up your time. Um, is there one other? I've lost track, Alex. Yes, the chakra set. Okay, yeah. The chakra set, which is a $70. It's the 7 bracelets with the wood and one talisman bead on it. So this next one is the final gift of the day for 2025. And the winner goes to Melissa M. Melissa, yay, you're a winner. You know that person, Susan.
I do.
Anyway, yay, you're here. We're happy if you stay this long. Um, we're happy for you.
Yeah.
So see,
Happy New Year.
yeah, Happy New Year. Um,
And know that the energies are shifting. It's not you.
Nothing is wrong with you at all. You are going through the stages of the butterfly. What
We
are
all
your
are.
colors?
Mhm.
So hang with us this year. If really, if you're considering any year to do the, really getting into the astrology and how it affects you, this would be the year to do it. Seriously, this is the
Mhm.
year to find some extra tools.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. That's it.
Happy.
Happy New Year, Susan and everyone. You're welcome, Mia. Um, that's it. So this will get recorded. You'll be able to watch it again and take it slowly and write everything down. Or AI it. AI it and let it
That's even better.
try it out if you haven't tried AI out. AI out. All right. Peace out.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Bye-bye.
being here.